generally, Kim's always positive. Maybe this morning, she got up on the wrong side of the bed.
We'll never again date a guy that doesn't have four-wheelers.
I like the fact.
The broken foundation. The clock has been ticking for more than 2 years and still nothing. Kim and Barry's divorce remains frozen in limbo, a legal ghost haunting every corner of this family's life. What should have been a clean cut has turned into a slow bleed, dragging on with no end in sight. It's not just papers that haven't been signed. It's not just property that hasn't been divided. It's the weight of unfinished business, an open wound that keeps the entire Plath family trapped in a state of limbo. And this is where our story begins, at the breakfast table of all places. On the surface, it looks ordinary. A skillet sizzles, sausage and eggs hit the plates, kids shuffle in half awake. There's even some laughter about kombucha bottles popping open like champagne. But underneath this quiet morning scene, there's tension. It's not the loud, explosive fights reality TV sometimes thrives on. It's heavier. It's that awkward silence that lingers between two people who used to share everything: beds, bills, a whole life, and now can barely share the same room without the air feeling thick. Kim sits there trying to project a calm exterior. She's moved on in some ways, her relationship with Ken, her efforts to blend him into the children's lives. But the divorce papers, still unsigned, still dragging. Every smile feels like it's carrying a shadow. And Barry, always the picture of stubborn resolve, isn't making it easy. He doesn't yell, he doesn't storm out, he simply refuses to let go, refuses to make it simple, refuses to accept that Kim has stepped into a new chapter without him. And that's what makes this whole thing so much harder. Divorce isn't just about cutting a legal tie, it's about rebuilding a family dynamic from the ground up. And here that ground feels cracked, unstable. Every attempt to move forward shakes loose a reminder of what hasn't been resolved. Welcome back to Reality Scandals Daily. I'm Sophie, and today we're diving deep into the broken foundation of Kim and Barry's stalled divorce. Before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because trust me, you do not want to miss the layers of this story. And as always, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you think Barry is dragging his feet out of heartbreak or out of control? Let's talk about it. Now let's go back to that kitchen scene. On the surface, everything looks fine. The kids chatter, somebody jokes about four-wheelers, and breakfast is served. But notice the small details. Barry doesn't meet Kim's eyes. He sits rigid, shoulders tight, as if every casual comment is a test he refuses to take. Kim, on the other hand, forces lightness into her tone, laughing a little too loudly at the kids' jokes, trying to keep the peace. These are the invisible battle lines of a family fractured not by one dramatic blow-up, but by 1,000 small cuts over time. This is what makes the divorce feel so endless. It's not just the legal system dragging its heels. It's the emotional battlefield, the unspoken grudges, the resistance to let go, and it's all happening while the children sit between them, caught in that uncomfortable place where you pretend everything is normal but everyone knows it isn't. Think about it, 2 years is a long time. In that time, Kim has built a relationship with Ken, started imagining a different kind of future, even opened the door for the kids to warm up to him. And some of them have. They've gone riding, they've laughed, they've started to let their guard down. But Barry, he's still standing at the edge, arms crossed, unwilling to take even one step toward acceptance. That breakfast table tells the whole story. Everyone's eating, everyone's talking, but no one is truly at ease. And let's not forget, this isn't just about Kim and Barry. It's about an entire family ecosystem. A divorce this drawn out doesn't just affect two people, it affects children, siblings, even in-laws. Every delay, every awkward moment, every heavy silence, it ripples outward. Ethan feels it, Mariah feels it, Lydia feels it. The younger kids may not always find the words, but they live in it every day. The house itself feels different. What used to be a home is now more like neutral territory in a Cold War. What we're seeing here is the quiet kind of dysfunction, the kind that doesn't make headlines with screaming matches, but eats away at people over time. It's the long looks across the table, the laughter that doesn't quite reach the eyes, the silence that says more than words ever could. This is the reality of a family living in the shadow of a divorce that should have been finalized long ago. So when Kim says, "It's been over 2 years and the divorce still isn't finalized," she isn't just stating a fact, she's acknowledging the elephant in the room. She's putting words to the weight that everyone has been carrying, and for the viewers, it's a moment of clarity. This isn't just paperwork, this is the foundation of their lives cracking beneath their feet. As we step into this season, remember this: everything else, the new relationships, the awkward run-ins, the attempts at normalcy, all of it rests on this one unresolved fracture. Until the divorce is finalized, until Kim and Barry truly close that chapter, every other storyline is balancing on shaky ground. And that right there is the broken foundation of this family. Kim's new life with Ken. If Act 1 showed us the broken foundation, Act 2 takes us straight into the fragile house Kim is trying to build on top of it. Enter Ken, Kim's new partner, her companion on four-wheelers, her cheerleader around the fire pit, and the man she hopes will be part of her next chapter. At first glance, Ken is everything Barry isn't. He's laid back, outdoorsy, and eager to share hobbies with Kim. Whether it's fishing trips, rides in the woods, or even just sitting by the fire, Ken and Kim genuinely seem to enjoy each other. Their laughter comes easy, their conversations flow without the edge that always seems to creep into scenes with Barry. In those moments, it almost feels like Kim has finally found the companionship she's been craving. And here's the thing, Ken isn't just here for Kim, he's trying, really trying, with the kids. He shows up, he asks questions, he makes jokes, sometimes they roll their eyes, sometimes they warm up. Slowly but surely though, the walls are coming down. One daughter admits she likes how outdoorsy Ken is. Another admits she's surprised at how much fun she has hanging out with him. What started as suspicion, mom's new boyfriend, no thanks, has started to turn into cautious acceptance. It's not perfect, it's not instant, but it's progress. And that's huge, because in blended families, progress is the only currency that counts. You can't buy love, you can't demand respect, you earn it, brick by brick, moment by moment. Ken, to his credit, seems to understand that. He doesn't force himself into the role of stepdad. He doesn't try to replace Barry. Instead, he offers something different: time, laughter, shared experiences. And the kids, whether they admit it or not, are starting to see that. But and you knew this was coming. There's a shadow that follows every single one of these moments. Barry. Because no matter how many campfires Kim and Ken share, no matter how many boat rides or four-wheeler trips the kids enjoy, there's always that one scene that won't go away. Ken stepping out of the car, extending his hand, and Barry refusing to take it. It's almost cinematic, the way it plays out. Ken standing tall, trying to make eye contact, clearly signaling, "I'm here, I'm approachable, I'm not your enemy." And Barry, he won't even look at him. He keeps his eyes down, his posture rigid, his silence loud enough to drown out the whole parking lot. And for Kim, that's the dagger. Because she knows, until Barry chooses to engage, there's no moving forward. She said it herself. She dreams of the day when everyone can just be adults and share space without awkwardness. A blended family barbecue. A holiday dinner where everyone brings their partner and no one has to sit on edge. In her mind, it's possible. In her heart, it's what she hopes for. But in reality, Barry is nowhere close to ready. And that's the real tension here. It's not just about Ken's role with the kids. It's about the invisible tug-of-war between past and future. Kim wants to build something new, something stable, something lighter than the marriage that weighed her down. Ken is on board, ready to play his part. The kids, most of them are warming up, at least enough to coexist. But Barry is the anchor, and until he chooses to lift it, this family isn't sailing anywhere. And let's be clear, this isn't unique to the Plaths. Blended families everywhere face this same battle. One parent moves on, they meet someone new, someone kind, someone stable. The kids, after some bumps, start to adjust, but the other parent, the one left behind, the one still holding on to resentment, pride, or heartbreak, they can stop the whole machine from moving forward. All it takes is one refusal to shake a hand, one refusal to make eye contact, one refusal to let go. That's the challenge. And it's the reason why Kim's new life with Ken feels half-built. She's got the foundation of a relationship, the beginnings of acceptance from her kids, the possibility of a future that looks hopeful. But without Barry's cooperation, even just basic civility, there will always be cracks. Think back to that breakfast table from Act 1. The tension wasn't in the words, it was in the silences. Now look at Ken standing by the car, hand outstretched. Same thing. The silence says more than words ever could. Barry doesn't need to scream, he doesn't need to fight. His refusal is enough to send the message: I'm not ready, and I don't approve. And for Kim, that's the heartbreak. Because she can move forward with Ken all she wants, but unless Barry accepts the reality of her new life, the past will keep bleeding into the present. This is where blended families often hit their breaking point. You can want peace, you can dream of harmony, you can try to force civility, but unless every adult in the room is ready to participate, it doesn't work. And right now, Barry isn't ready. So Kim's new life with Ken remains exactly that: new, fragile, hopeful, yes, but unsettled. A work in progress shadowed by the ghost of a marriage that refuses to die quietly. And that's where the tension simmers, not in blowout arguments, not in dramatic fights, but in the awkward in-betweens, the almost smiles, the half-hearted attempts at civility, the silence when a hand is left hanging in the air. This is Kim's life now, trying to build something new, while dragging the weight of something old. Ken may be the future, but Barry is still the present. And until that changes, every step forward will come with a shadow dot. If Act 2 showed us the fragile hope Kim is trying to build with Ken, Act 3 brings us back down to the cold, grinding reality. This divorce is dragging on, and it's dragging everyone with it. More than 2 years since they split, Kim and Barry are still not legally divorced. 2 years. Let that sink in. Most couples can finalize a divorce in less than a year, sometimes even a few months, but for the Plaths, every step has been slow, heavy, and almost impossible to move forward. The reasons are as messy as you'd expect: property, money, paperwork, pride. We've heard Kim talk about how frustrating it is, how much energy it drains from her. She wants closure, she wants to move forward, not just emotionally with Ken, but legally, officially. Yet every time she looks at the calendar, another month has slipped by, and she's still tethered to Barry in ways she desperately wishes she wasn't. And Barry, well, he isn't making it any easier. He's holding back, dragging his feet, refusing to cooperate in the way Kim hoped he would. Whether it's about splitting property, making decisions about finances, or just signing off on the next step, he's always a step behind, always resistant. To him, maybe this isn't just about paperwork, it's about control. If the divorce isn't finalized, he still has a tie to Kim, still a way to slow her down, still a reason to say no. And let's be honest, that's a powerful position to be in for someone who doesn't want to face change. You can see the toll it's taking on Kim. She looks exhausted. She admits the whole process has worn her out. At times she even seems on the verge of giving up, not on the divorce, but on the hope that it'll ever feel truly finished. That fatigue, it's real. Because divorce isn't just a legal process, it's an emotional marathon. It's reliving old fights, renegotiating old wounds, and having to see the person you're trying to move on from over and over again. And the kids? They're stuck right in the middle. They can feel the tension, they can see the hesitation, and they know the divorce isn't just about two people, it's about them too. It means changes to holidays, to family gatherings, to routines. It means having to decide whose side you're on in small everyday moments. It means carrying the awkwardness of knowing mom wants to move on, but dad won't let go. Imagine being Ethan, for example. He's already dealing with his own painful separation from Olivia. To watch his parents' divorce drag on in slow motion, while he's also grieving the end of his own marriage. That's a heavy, heavy burden. Or Mariah. She's young, trying to carve her own life, and yet she's caught between supporting her mom and respecting her dad. Even the younger kids can't ignore the tension. They may not understand the paperwork or the property disputes, but they feel it in the room. They hear it in the silence, and this is what people often forget about divorce. It doesn't just split two people, it ripples out, shaking the foundation of the entire family. Every child feels it. Every holiday gets complicated, every conversation comes with an undertone. And when the process drags on as long as Kim and Barry's has, that ripple never stops. It just keeps moving outward, month after month, year after year. So the question becomes, how long can this go on? How long before Kim finally has the closure she's craving? How long before Barry stops using delay as a form of control? And here's the more dramatic question, the one I know many of you are wondering. Will Barry's attitude change, if or when he finally starts dating someone new? Because that's the thing. Right now, Barry is on the outside looking in. He's the man watching Kim move forward with Ken, while he stays rooted in the past. His resistance makes sense if you see it through that lens. He hasn't found his next chapter, so why should Kim get to? But what happens when that balance shifts? What happens if Barry does meet someone? Will he suddenly see the benefit of finalizing the divorce? Will he loosen his grip once he realizes there's something in it for him too? That's the suspense hanging over this whole storyline. The Plath divorce isn't just paperwork, it's a question mark. It's the tension of knowing this family can't really heal until the page is turned, and the page won't turn until Barry signs it. Kim's fatigue is real, the kids' discomfort is real, the family limbo is real, but the ending, that part is still unwritten. And that's why this chapter of their story is so compelling and so frustrating at the same time. We're watching a family frozen in transition, waiting for one person to decide whether to let go. So for now, Kim's new life with Ken remains half-finished. The kids remain caught in between. And Barry holds the keys to closure but refuses to use them. And maybe, just maybe, the only thing that will finally change his mind is the moment he decides he wants what Kim has. A chance to start over. A chance to feel alive again. A chance to stop being the anchor that keeps the whole family stuck. Until then, the divorce drags on. If Kim and Barry's stalled divorce feels like a storm cloud that just won't move, Act 4 shifts the spotlight to someone else caught in the rain, Ethan. Because as his parents' marriage unravels in slow motion, Ethan's own relationship with Olivia has collapsed too. And the parallels are almost too striking to ignore. Ethan and Olivia had been one of the most talked about storylines since Welcome to Plathville first aired. Their young love, their struggle for independence, the constant push and pull between Ethan's family loyalty and Olivia's desperate need for distance from the Plaths, it was raw, emotional, and real. And now, it's over. Their marriage is ending. Another divorce in the Plath orbit, another fracture, another heartbreak. When Kim sees Ethan again in the wake of his split, it's not the cool, detached mother we sometimes see. No, this moment cuts deeper. She greets him with tears, with trembling in her voice, with a hug that lasts just a second too long. And it's not just a hug, it's an embrace loaded with grief, guilt, and recognition. Kim is watching her son walk the same road she's on, just younger, just earlier in life. And that realization breaks her down. The hug is awkward but tender. Ethan stiffens at first, then allows her arms to circle him. And in that embrace, it feels like both of them are admitting something neither has been able to say out loud. Divorce doesn't just end a marriage, it tears at your sense of who you are. Kim knows this. Ethan is just starting to. And that overlap, mother and son, both heartbroken, both facing endings they didn't plan, is one of the most emotional moments we've seen in this entire saga. It makes you wonder, are we watching a generational pattern repeat itself? Barry and Kim's marriage crumbles after decades. Ethan and Olivia's marriage unravels after just a few years. Different circumstances, different reasons, but the same end result: distance, distrust, disconnection. The Plaths, for all their strong family values, are now a family marked by divorce. That's what hits the hardest here. Divorce is no longer just a storyline about Kim and Barry, it's spreading into the next generation. Ethan's divorce is its own tragedy, but when viewed side by side with his parents' stalled separation, it feels heavier. It feels like history echoing itself. The very thing Ethan didn't want, becoming like his parents, is exactly what he's experiencing. And Kim knows it. That's why she breaks down when she sees him. And we need to talk about Ethan himself. He's not the same wide-eyed young man we met seasons ago. He's hardened, scarred, and quieter now. You can see the weight in his posture, the pain in his eyes. This divorce from Olivia isn't just a breakup, it's a dismantling of his identity, his plans, his idea of what his life was going to be. He fought so hard to keep that marriage alive, even when it meant battling his own family. And now, with it ending, he has to ask, was it worth it? Did all those fights mean anything, or was it always going to end this way? This is where the commentary cuts deep. Divorce doesn't happen in isolation. It's not just the couple, it's their parents, their siblings, their children, their entire circle. It's generational. We inherit patterns we don't even realize until we're living them. And in Ethan's case, you can't help but notice how closely his story mirrors his parents'. Kim and Barry struggled with control, power, and independence. Ethan and Olivia struggled with control, power, and independence. Different details, same war. But here's the difference. Ethan has the chance to break the cycle. He's young. He can learn from this. He can rebuild. He can decide not to repeat the mistakes he saw growing up. And that's what makes his journey so fascinating to watch. Still, that doesn't make the present moment any easier. Divorce is brutal. It strips you down. And for Ethan, who's always been more sensitive, more inward, the pain is written all over him. The hug with his mother, the tears in Kim's eyes, it's almost too much. It's a reminder that no matter how strong you are, divorce leaves scars. And so we're left with the million-dollar question. The one I'll throw to you. Do you think Ethan will come out stronger on the other side of this? Will this divorce teach him resilience, clarity, and independence in ways nothing else could? Or will it harden him, make him more like Barry, closed off, resistant, unwilling to change? Because right now, Ethan is standing at a crossroads. One path leads to growth, to breaking the generational cycle. The other leads to bitterness, to becoming the very thing he's been fighting against his entire adult life. And that's the emotional core of Act 4. A son caught in the same storm as his parents, a mother recognizing her pain in her child's eyes, and a family once built on togetherness, now defined by separation. It's heartbreaking. It's real. And it leaves us all wondering how much more this family can take. If the Plath family's story so far has felt like a string of endings, marriages unraveling, bonds snapping, trust eroding, then Act 5 offers something different. Not a neat resolution, not a miracle, but the faintest flicker of something new. A fragile new normal. And it all begins with Mariah. Mariah the dreamer, the emotional compass, the one who always seems to carry her heart on her sleeve. She steps up with a project that might sound simple on paper but is loaded with meaning. her music video. This isn't just about recording a song or filming a few scenes. For Mariah, this project becomes a way to gather the pieces of her broken family, to force them, if only for one day, into the same space under the same roof. And somehow it works. Cameras roll, lights flash, music swells, but the real story isn't what happens in front of the camera, it's what's happening just off to the side. Because standing there, awkwardly but undeniably present, are Barry and Ken. The two men who represent the past and the future of this family. Barry, the father, still dragging his feet through the divorce. Ken, the new partner trying to find his place. And for the first time, they're face to face. It's not dramatic, there are no shouting matches, no ultimatums, just a quiet exchange. Ken extends the smallest of olive branches, polite words, a handshake attempt, a look that says, "I'm here, I'm trying." And Barry, he doesn't embrace it fully. He doesn't suddenly become warm or welcoming. But he doesn't shut it down either. He allows it. He tolerates it. And for Barry, that's a monumental step. This moment matters because it's the first crack in Barry's wall. We've watched him resist, avoid, refuse to engage. But here, under the weight of his daughter's music project, he bends, just slightly. He doesn't endorse. He doesn't encourage. But he doesn't resist either. It's subtle. It's small, but sometimes small is everything. And Kim sees it too. She's watching her past and her future stand in the same space without combusting. For her, it's a quiet victory. She hopes desperately that this is the beginning of civility, of coexistence. Because for Kim, Ken isn't just a new partner. He's her lifeline, her chance to rebuild. And for that to work, Barry has to at least allow it. Ken, for his part, isn't asking for much. He doesn't need Barry's approval. He doesn't need to be embraced as a father figure. What he wants is simpler, a place in this family, the ability to attend gatherings without tension, to stand beside Kim without hostility, to share space without constant rejection. And this face-to-face moment, as awkward as it is, gives him hope. If Barry can tolerate him once, maybe he can tolerate him again. But let's not sugarcoat it. This is still a fragile truce. It's not a reconciliation. It's not forgiveness. It's not a promise of smoother days ahead. It's just a moment. And yet, in the Plath family, where fractures have become the norm, even a moment feels monumental. The rest of the day flows with that same uneasy balance. Mariah sings, her voice carrying years of pain and hope in every note. Family members mingle, some keeping their distance, some daring to connect. And in the middle of it all, Kim stands with tears in her eyes, watching her children and her fractured family share the same space. For her, this is what she's been craving. Not perfection, not even peace, just proof that they can still exist together, however awkwardly. As the project wraps, and the family disperses, there's no grand declaration. No one leaves holding hands. No one promises healing. But there's also no explosion. And maybe that's enough. Maybe the absence of disaster is the first sign of progress. And so, as we close this chapter, I have to say family isn't fixed here. It isn't healed. The wounds are still deep, the scars still fresh. But in these tiny steps, a handshake tolerated, a song performed, a family standing together if only for a moment, we see possibility. The possibility of coexisting, of carving out a new normal that looks nothing like the old one, but might still carry some of the same love. And that's where I'll leave it, because this isn't the kind of story that ends with a bow. This is the kind of story that leaves you wondering, questioning, hoping. So let me ask you, my Reality Scandals Daily family, do you think this family can truly heal, or are the wounds far too deep? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know this audience has strong opinions. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and join us for more deep dives into the messy, emotional, and unforgettable world of reality TV. And until next time, I'm Sophie, and this was Act 5, the fragile new normal of the Plath family.